This piece of information is captured.
Hello and good evening. You're watching Newsnight. I'm Gautam Roy. The situation in Delhi has been alarming for the past few days. Each passing day, you see the numbers of corona positive patients rising, the active cases rising, and within the last 24 hours, just yesterday, the numbers were the highest ever through this entire phase. And what is emerging in terms of media reports has even alarmed the Supreme Court. It has pulled up the Delhi government today in terms of its COVID management situation and given notices not just to the Delhi government but also to other state governments and the centre to revert to it on what measures are being taken to ensure that this situation is managed better. But the focus is definitely on what the Delhi government is doing about the rising number of cases and reports of utter mismanagement, horrible situation in some of the Delhi government hospitals in the national capital of the country. We'll be talking about that with our guests as well in Newsnight tonight. But first, our headlines. The Supreme Court pulls up the Delhi government over improper management of the COVID situation in the national capital, says the situation is horrific, horrible and pathetic. Home Ministry guidelines are not being followed. It seeks response from the Delhi government for not treating the remains of COVID patients with respect. Issues notices to the centre and Delhi, Maharashtra, West Bengal and Tamil Nadu governments. The BJP goes all out against the Kejriwal government after the Supreme Court's harsh comments related to poor COVID situation management in the national capital. Says the Chief Minister has failed in tackling the crisis. Suggests that he should set aside politics and propaganda and work on the ground to improve the situation. Cabinet Secretary holds a video link meet with states on tackling the COVID situation, says the need is to focus on growing hotspots in the country and to take tough measures to contain the spread of the virus in these places. Stresses on increasing testing, contact tracing and improving health facilities. The Home Ministry issues a clarification on restricting the movement of people between 9 at night and 5 in the morning, says this is to prevent people from gathering in large numbers and not meant for buses and trucks plying on highways. Tells states and union territories not to stop buses and trucks on highways. The Supreme Court gives relief to companies which did not pay full wages to employees during lockdown. Issues directions to the centre and state governments barring any punitive action against private firms till the last week of July. Employers and workers should sit together and settle the matter. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman discusses a wide range of issues related to the COVID crisis with state counterparts during the Web GST Council meeting, gives relief to businesses on filing GST returns, announces waiver of late fees and interest. Compensation sesh issue will be taken up in the special council meeting next month. The number of COVID-19 recovered patients improves further compared to those actively infected in the country. Recovery rate goes up to 49.47. Over 1.47 lakh patients have recovered. Active cases stand at around 1.41 lakh. The coronavirus cases around the world climb to more than 75.42 lakh. Death toll rises to over 4.22 lakh. And after holding up the Sri Lanka tour, the BCCI also cancels Team India Zimbabwe away series. Decision has been taken in view of the COVID-19 pandemic. Well, the Supreme Court took suo motu cognizance of media reports related to the pathetic situation in Delhi related to the management or rather mismanagement of the COVID pandemic. Observing that people are being treated worse than animals with reports of neglected patients and derelict bodies in hospitals, it issued notices to the Delhi government along with those of Maharashtra, West Bengal and Tamil Nadu and the centre. Chief Secretaries have to submit reports of the steps being taken to address the situation. The next hearing will be held on Wednesday.
Fresh cases of COVID-19 have been rising alarmingly on a daily basis in the national capital over the last few days. Complaints have also been made by family members related to handling of the remains of those succumbing to the disease. Now the Supreme Court has taken cognizance of the matter. The Apex Court has sought a response from Delhi government on the treatment of the remains of COVID patients in city's hospital, making some harsh comments. A bench comprising Justices Ashok Bhushan, Sanjay Kishan Kaul and M.R. Shah heard the matter over a video link and issued notices to Delhi, Maharashtra, West Bengal and Tamil Nadu state governments apart from the centre. Commenting about the situation in Delhi, the Apex Court said, Home Ministry's guidelines are not being followed in Delhi. Hospitals are not keeping the remains of those succumbing to COVID-19 in a respectable manner. Family of the deceased is not even informed of their relative passing away in many cases. There are reports that relatives could not hold a proper funeral for deceased in some cases. The bench said patients are being treated worse than animals. Situation is horrendous, horrific and pathetic. In one case, a body was found in the garbage. Patients are dying and there is no one to even attend to them. The bench specifically mentioned the case of Delhi's LNJP hospital. It said LNJP has 2,000 beds but only 870 are occupied and yet patients are not being cared for properly. Kejriwal government directed to explain the fall in coronavirus testing in the national capital. Why has testing gone down from 7,000 to 5,000 a day? Chennai and Mumbai have increased their testing. Bench said reducing testing is not a solution to the problem. Delhi government was directed by the bench to take measures to increase testing. The matter will be heard next on Wednesday, and till then, chief secretaries of the states issued notices will have to submit a report in the top court on the status of arrangements made to treat COVID patients. After the Supreme Court's directions and comments, the BJP attacked the Aam Aadmi Party government in Delhi, saying Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal has failed in tackling the pandemic. The party said that the Delhi government needs to think seriously about the top court's comments. It needs to set aside politics and propaganda and work on the ground to address the situation.
दिल्ली में लोग दर-दर भटक रहे हैं, अस्पतालों में बेड नहीं मिल रहा है, अस्पतालों के बाहर लोग दम तोड़ रहे हैं। ऐसे में दो तीन बहुत महत्वपूर्ण प्रश्न उठते हैं। अरविंद केजरीवाल जी, हम राजनीति नहीं चाहते हैं, किंतु जिस प्रकार की राजनीतिक हथकंडों को आपने कुछ दिनों में इस्तेमाल किया है, हमें लगता है इन हथकंडों को आपको बंद करना चाहिए। आज अरविंद केजरीवाल जी की सरकार को जाग जाना चाहिए। अरविंद केजरीवाल जी की सरकार को, जिसके पास पब्लिसिटी में खर्च करने के लिए तो बहुत पैसे हैं, किंतु जो मूलभूत आवश्यकताएं दिल्ली में आज आवश्यक है, उसके लिए वो कहीं ना कहीं राजनीति करते हुए नजर आ रहे हैं। हम सिर्फ बहुत हाथ जोड़ के विनम्र निवेदन करना चाहते हैं कि थोड़े दिनों के लिए इस प्रकार की राजनीति को वो दरकिनार करें।
जब 78% कोरोना मरीज होम क्वारंटाइन है, सिर्फ 22% मरीज जो कोरोना के हैं वो अस्पतालों में हैं और उसमें से काफ़ी कम संख्या सरकारी अस्पतालों में है। ये सरकारी अस्पतालों की जो बद इंतजामी और शवों के साथ जो इंसानियत को शर्मसार करने वाले दृश्य, ये दिल्ली के मुख्यमंत्री को दिखते नहीं है क्या?
Questions have also been raised over the data related to COVID deaths in the national capital. Delhi Municipal Corporation has questioned the Delhi government's claim on Thursday, saying that toll is higher than what is being disclosed. The municipal body said that till Thursday, last rites of 2,098 COVID patients had been performed in Delhi.
दिल्ली के अंदर मार्च के महीने से लेकर के और 10 जून तक का जो आंकड़ा है, उसमें तीनों नगर निगम का मिलाकर के जिन लोगों के परिजनों को दुखद मौत हुई है, उनका जो हमने संस्कार किया है, वो लगभग 2098 केस है, जिनका हमने कब्रिस्तान और शमशान घाट पे संस्कार किया है। ये बिल्कुल सभी कोरोना पॉजिटिव हैं। सस्पेक्टेड जो केस है उनका हमने अलग आंकड़ा दिया था। लगभग 200 केस वो भी हैं जिनका सस्पेक्टेड है, जो संदिग्ध है।
The day also saw Lieutenant Governor Anil Bajal holding a video conference over the Delhi COVID situation with the Chief Minister, Health Minister and other top officials. The LG said that we need to reduce the number of deaths owing to COVID-19 by breaking the transmission chain. He said the priority should be to increase hospital beds and treatment facilities, keeping in mind the rising numbers. The LG directed all DCs and Delhi Police Deputy Commissioners to ensure strict compliance with central guidelines in containment zones. Stress was laid on door-to-door surveillance to track all cases. The LG reiterated the instructions for setting up LED boards displaying number of beds available and charges in hospitals. All those needing treatment should get proper treatment. Clearly, the Delhi government needs to do much better than it has done so far in tackling the COVID crisis. Accounts of people suffering directly and indirectly due to the pandemic as well as data suggest that the Supreme Court is on the right track when it questioned that how the situation has been handled so far. With Vikas Sarthi in Delhi, Newsnet Desk, DD India.
So what do the observations on the Supreme Court and the directions that it has given mean for the people of Delhi, the Delhi government? We'll be talking about that in just a bit on Newsnight tonight. Stay tuned.
काश मैं महंगी टिकिया ले पाती। महंगी नहीं, फेना सुपर वॉश टिकिया आजमाइए। बेहतरीन झाग, रोज और चंदन सुपर चमक। महंगी टिकिया जैसी धुलाई फेना सुपर वॉश टिकिया में समाई। फेना ही लेना।
फेना कपड़ों से हटाए कीटाणु, इंडिया में बना गर्व के साथ।
पहला अक्षर रट लो तो वैसे एक विद्वान होगा, पक्की होगी बुनियादें तो हंसे हिंदुस्तान होगा। करो शुरुआत करो, करो तो पक्की बात करो। वंडर सीमेंट, एक परफेक्ट शुरुआत।
पवन मुक्तासन। पीठ के बल लेट जाएं, पैरों को दोनों घुटनों से मोड़ें, श्वास छोड़ें, जांघों और घुटनों को छाती के निकट लाएं, श्वास लें और दोनों हाथों की उंगलियों को आपस में जकड़ते हुए दोनों पैरों की पिंडलियों को कसकर पकड़ लें, श्वास छोड़ें, सिर तथा कंधे उठाएं और ठोड़ी को घुटनों के बीच लगाने का प्रयास करें। इस स्थिति में शारीरिक सजगता के साथ 3 से 10 श्वासों तक बने रहें। श्वास लेते हुए सिर को जमीन पर लाएं, श्वास छोड़ें और पैरों को जमीन पर वापस ले आएं। पीठ के बल लेटकर विश्राम करें।
विश्व बंधुत्व के भाव और ग्लोबल फ्रेंडशिप को आज योग एक नई ऊर्जा दे रहा है।
Welcome back. We're talking about the alarming COVID-19 management situation in Delhi, over which the Supreme Court has pulled up the Delhi government and sought answers as well. And that brings up our In Focus tonight, which is implications of the Supreme Court's reprimand of the Delhi government over COVID management. And to talk about it, we have 2 guests joining us at the moment. We're expecting 3 in total. In just a bit, we'll have Love Verma, former Health Secretary, with us, Dr. D.R. Rai, former Secretary General IMA, and Praful Ketkar as well, editor-organizer with us. Let me go across to Praful Ketkar first. Praful Ketkar, in terms of what the Supreme Court has said, based on its own volition, it's taken up the matter by itself, it's suo moto, relying primarily on media reports and then even the data. How bad is the situation in Delhi and how badly is it being managed?
See, we have been discussing this, Gautam, that either managing data or manipulating numbers is not an option in this scenario, nor the blame game. What is needed is a very calibrated approach and a cooperative approach at various levels of government agencies, whether local governments, whether state governments or the center. Unfortunately, what has happened in Delhi, the way things are managed, initially the time that should have been used for capacity building as far as the health infrastructure is concerned, which was not very effectively done, and whatever facilities as far as the testing was created, they were not also up to the mark, as we know that at least 6 to 7 testing centers were not as per ICMR guidelines. And now what we are seeing in terms of catastrophe, especially what happened during the entire Eid celebration, the way things were managed on the ground, I think Delhi, the situation is really worse. Many centers have turned into hotspots, and as Supreme Court has rightly said, it is really horrific.
Right, and the situation is telltale when you look at the micro scenario in LNJP hospital itself. It is supposed to be completely converted to a COVID hospital. That's how it's been designated. Over 2,000 beds on paper, but the number of patients is not even half that who've been admitted there. It seems that despite there being beds, people just don't want to go there. That's how things are over there. It's so bad that even while people might be suffering, they might be close to death, they just don't want to go there because they feel perhaps that death is certain there.
See, as I spoke about the health infrastructure, or upgrading health infrastructure or creating new one, unfortunately, because that was not done. So the approach was to build a separate narrative about Delhi, as if Delhi is just cut off from rest of India, and the way things were handled, either to contemplating on the decision not to treat any patients outside Delhi, or this creating a separate app parallel to Arogya Setu. Both these were so disastrous and contrary to our cooperative federalism spirit. In fact, this is one thing I believe that has pinching Delhi the most. And if just media management and media narrative would have if we really want to believe Delhi ministers, health minister, or Mr. Manish Sisodia, then we are heading for catastrophe, because they are already talking about shortages of 36,000 beds. So why enough facilities were not created, and what we are listening about LNGP and other hospitals that were designated as COVID designated hospitals, there the situation is so horrific, and we have seen the similar kind of reports we have got from Mumbai as well. But as Supreme Court has made observations in today's hearing, we need something urgent to deal with the National Capital Territory region entirely, not just Delhi, because it will certainly have an impact on the adjoining districts of Delhi. So whether Haryana and the way we are getting reports about the things that doctors are facing.
Right.
Doctors are not getting, haven't received salary for months, or enough facilities are not provided. All these things are instead of, I personally believe that instead of getting on political rhetoric or confrontation, now there is a need for local governments, state government and center to work together. Central agencies are trying to give maximum, and for last 2.5 months, whatever was the lockdown period, we tried to create.
We can keep saying that they need to work together, but look at what is happening. This discrepancy in data in terms of the number of people who've been suffering from COVID and they've passed away. The discrepancy there, the Delhi government says one thing, the municipal corporation say something completely different, and that's double the figure that the Delhi government is citing. If you look at even what is happening in terms of the steps being taken, it just seems that a lot has been left to just the people themselves, to fend for themselves, because the level of preparedness and even testing, you look at testing, the Supreme Court was questioning the Delhi government about that as well, that why aren't you testing enough people? The numbers in fact have gone down in recent days, while as in Maharashtra and places like Tamil Nadu, they've scaled up massively.
See, simply because when instead of managing the pandemic, when your political immediate political considerations get precedence, then you get into this blame game. As one of the private hospital doctor has mentioned in one of the interviews today, that we are yet to see peak in Delhi, and maybe July or August may be even worse. Now at least we should learn lessons, and especially the political parties and the people who are at the leadership role, they should learn the lesson. This is not the time for political blame game. This is not the time for scoring brownie points through political posturing. This is time to work together and manage the pandemic. For livelihood is will come at a later stage. Other states have already started working on that, but first we need to save lives, and for that we need infrastructure, enough facilities, and proper implementation of the protocol, so that we can avoid the spread at the community level. Till now we are saying that it is still not community level spread, but I afraid if we continue with this, tomorrow or in coming days, we will have to perhaps say openly and accept that perhaps it has led to community spread.
Right, and then we've seen the LG stepping in as well. He stepped in when the Delhi government wanted to restrict access to Delhi's hospitals for people outside, and now he's clearly said that we need to break the chain of transmission in a meeting today as well, and that is by strictly enforcing what is meant to be done as far as the containment zones are concerned, because that's where the problem lies. But why hasn't it happened so far?
No, because the will was not there, the implementation aspect, and when you apply the discriminatory kind of measures when it comes to the management of containment zone, then it is always problematic. In fact, there were certain containment zones where outsiders were not allowed, but people from containment zone were freely going out, even in the phase 2 or phase 3 of our lockdown. So that was a very curious kind of lockdown management. Now the reports that we are getting from many areas where it looks like already the things are going out of hand, and the things that is being shared on social media or other by media houses of LNGP hospital, or young people who were admitted in the hospital but died in 2 days, or somebody who didn't get bed for 3 or 4 hospitals after running here and there, and by evening the person is no more. Now these stories create panic, and this panic is the worst thing any government can expect while dealing with pandemic. If pandemic is turned into is added with panic, and there I think the media management or the messaging has to be very, very clever. And there again I am saying, especially to the state government of Delhi, that now and this has nothing to do with anybody's political. I have been saying this, that this is a testing time for our cooperative federalism, and therefore whether local governments, all agencies should work together. The pandemic will not see who is your voter and not.
Right. Let me bring in former Secretary General IMA as well, Dr. D.R. Rai, joining us now. Dr. Rai, what do you make of the situation in Delhi. The Supreme Court has pulled up the Delhi government. But where do you think, as a medical professional, the Delhi government is not getting its prescription right for getting a handle on the COVID-19 situation in the national capital?
Worried and very much disturbed also by seeing the condition of Delhi. By, when the first lockdown was done, it was done only to prepare ourselves for this pandemic, this epidemic of the corona. I don't know what has been, what preparations they have made, or what extra infrastructure they have created. And if you see today's time, literally it has become very difficult. And you have created, I mean the media and public is having a phobia of corona. They are so much worried. They are discussing everywhere. If tomorrow I will fall sick, who is going to take me? Who will be treating me? What will happen to me? Whether I will die on the road.
We seem to be having a problem with Dr. Rai's link. Let me go back to Praful Ketkar. The other aspect, of course, Praful, is the kind of projections that the Delhi government itself has made, that by the end of July there will be 5 lakh cases, 80,000 beds will be required, and they're talking about converting stadia and even marriage halls into wards, large wards for COVID patients. But do you feel that they can get their act together to ensure the kind of facilities that are required, the kind of staffing that is required, doctors that are required? Because a lot of marriage halls do not have bathing facilities, really. They're just there for catering to people for maximum 6 hours.
See, that's what precisely I said. When the entire country is, preparing, many states, even large states with more dense population are preparing to some kind of opening up. Now Delhi government is talking about, there are states where the schools were taken over, because school is one place where anyway students are not, attending classes. And it is one place where, especially if the schools are residential, then they have huge facility as far as the stay, or even the, the facilities that you are talking about, whether toilets or bathrooms, anything. So there, I think Delhi government should have, foreseen this kind of scenario. Now I think it is bit late, but still it's better than never, because when the Supreme Court has to blast state over hospitals and have to make a comment like COVID-19 patients treated worse than animals, this is now at least they should take a lesson, and without getting into blame game or creating some kind of sympathy, we should and this is for all layers. There are strict guidelines as far as the testing is concerned. The situation is because the morale of the even existing medical staff and warriors, even their morale is down. The way they are being treated, the way a state like Haryana, we have an example where government proposed to give a extra salary or double the salary, and here we are the state and the municipal corporations are fighting who will pay the salaries, how to generate the revenue. So when the government has all the money to make advertisements about the work that is being done during the corona crisis, but if they don't have money to pay to the corona warriors, then I think all that advertisement is going to go in vain. So we need to create awareness. We need to prepare and take collaboration of all the social or NGOs, other organizations, and all agencies should join hands together so that this crisis can be managed, at least at this stage.
Right. Let me try and bring in former Health Secretary Love Verma as well, joining us now. Mr. Verma, what do you make of the kind of observations in the first place the Supreme Court has made and compare it to the situation in Delhi? And to what extent has the Supreme Court really nailed the issue in terms of the problem not being that Delhi is badly affected? It is badly affected, but that is largely to an extent because of how the situation has been mismanaged at the level of the government in the state.
Well, you know, this is happening all over the country in the sense that the pandemic is overwhelming the medical systems one by one. We've seen it happen in Maharashtra, and now we are seeing it happen in Delhi, where the problem is that the cases are rising exponentially now, and I don't know when the peak will come. There are different estimates, but we seem to be going towards the peak in, say, July or so. And I would really not like to play any blame game here. It's simply the result of years of underinvestment in the health sector. So what I think what COVID-19 has really pointed out is a failure, collective failure, I would say, to invest in the health systems, and perhaps that is the greatest takeaway from this epidemic. Having said that, am I audible and clear?
Yes, you are. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Yes, having said that, there's always room for improvement, and especially I think in Delhi and Tamil Nadu also, the Supreme Court has pointed out that the systems are flagging, and there needs to be some very nimble and alert response to what the Supreme Court has said in terms of testing, in terms of making beds available, and in terms of a quick response to the pandemic. The number of beds which are shown on the app and the actual position on the ground, that is not the same, which is causing a lot of panic and a lot of problems to people who are being diagnosed with COVID-19. So there needs to be a system where one can phone a particular number and be assured of a bed at a particular place. I think that is what is needed at the moment in Delhi.
But sir, if people are not confident about the kind of facilities, the kind of care, dekhbhal in general, that they will get at these facilities, as has been shown in the case of LNJP, where there are 2,000 beds, but just 870 odd people admitted there, what will happen even if we manage to create those facilities if people don't want to get themselves admitted there? They'd rather, you know, go to private hospitals, pay through their noses, probably go bankrupt doing that, or just stay at home and completely fend for themselves.
Well, this is what happens once the pandemic sweeps through a country. We've seen even very well developed economies like the US, Italy, Germany, France, they have collapsed in the face of this onslaught. So far we've been happy in the fact that the mortality rate of COVID is very low, but now we are seeing that the cases are going up at a very alarming rate, more than 10,000, and now we are the fourth most affected country in the world. So then obviously the systems will not be able to cope with the load, and nothing can be done at short notice, we know that. And perhaps what is being now suggested, that if you have mild or moderate systems, then you stay at home and do the whatever is advised by the physician rather than going to the hospital. I think a majority of people will go by that advice.
Right, and in terms of making the efforts that you're saying now at short notice to boost facilities in the quantum that they're required to be done, do you think you see that happening in a city like Delhi, where you said for years and decades things have not really kept up pace with the requirement as far as health services are concerned?
Well, it is almost impossible to do things at short notice, and when there's such a lot of pressure on the medical system as such. So I don't see how. What is more necessary is that whatever resources there are, they should be managed efficiently and properly, so that if there is a bed which is being shown empty, then and there's a COVID-19 patient who really needs a ventilator, then he should be able to access it. That is more important, and I think that is the signal which has been sent by the Honorable Supreme Court to the Delhi government and to 3 other governments, that the resources have to be managed much better.
Right, and in terms of again bringing private hospitals on board, in terms of what they're setting aside in their overall capacity for COVID patients, and the other issue is prices. Do you think enough has been done on that score? Because people are really upset that if they want to access quality health care, that is unaffordable.
I completely agree with you there, and there has been some talk about fixing the prices, but the problem is that we do not really have a regulatory system for the private health care. That is the problem. So under what law, under what act do you regulate them? That has been a crying need, and somehow I think it is something which the revamped medical council that needs to look into this whole matter, and maybe we need standard protocols or maybe an act which can regulate, and especially in times of a pandemic where it is even more important that affordable health care is made available to poor patients. So this is, I think, something more a long-term project for the government rather than something which can be managed at the moment.
Let's hope that we make the best of the kind of hand we've been dealt at the moment, and that can only happen if you play your cards right, and that is what efficient management is all about. And let's hope that with the help of the Supreme Court, with the guidance of the Supreme Court, the Delhi government can do that, because Delhi really needs that to kick in at this juncture. Thanks a lot for joining us, both you, Love Verma, Dr. Rai, although he could only join us briefly because of some technical issues, and Praful Ketkar. Now moving on, the number of those who've recovered from the coronavirus infection in the country has improved further today compared to the number of those who are actively infected. The recovery rate has also climbed up further to 49.47%. The doubling rate has also gone up to 17.4 days. Here's more.
India's COVID-19 recovery rate showed further improvement on Friday. The number of recovered patients from COVID-19 exceeded the number of active patients for the 3rd consecutive day. According to Health Ministry data, as of Friday, the cured and discharged cases stands at 1,47,194. There are 1,41,842 active cases presently in the country. According to ICMR, the total number of samples tested so far are 53,63,445. In the last 24 hours, 1,50,305 samples were tested. The doubling time has also improved to 17.4 days. The Union government is constantly monitoring the situation and directing the state governments to take steps to win the battle against COVID-19. The Cabinet Secretary on Friday held a meeting with Chief Secretaries, Health and Urban Development Secretaries of all states through a video link, and they were asked to pay special attention to emerging epicenters of COVID-19 cases and undertake stringent containment measures to check the contagion. The states on their part are taking special measures to contain the spread of the infection. Madhya Pradesh government has decided to completely shut Bhopal on Saturdays and Sundays in view of the alarming rise in the number of coronavirus cases in the state capital.
पूरा मध्य प्रदेश लगभग संभल गया है। भोपाल का है, अब आज ये भी तय किया है कि अब भोपाल 5 दिन खुलेगा, पूरा भोपाल खुलेगा 5 दिन, और 2 दिन शनिवार इतवार इसको बंद रखेंगे।
Karnataka cabinet has decided to bar online classes for students from class 1st to class 7th. The Karnataka government has, however, decided to go ahead with the class 10th board exams as scheduled from the 25th of June. The situation in Maharashtra, however, grew alarming with the number of coronavirus cases crossing the 1 lakh mark on Friday after 3,493 people were found infected during the day. A cabinet minister in the Uddhav Thackeray government also tested positive for COVID-19 on Friday. Meanwhile, the Indian Council of Medical Research has ramped up testing capacity for detecting the virus, and a total of 877 laboratories, 637 government and 240 private are presently operational in the country. With Natendra Singh, Sudhakar Das and Shishir Shelar, Newsnight Desk, DD India.
All right, we've got an update coming in. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be interacting with chief ministers of all states and union territories on the 16th and 17th of June. So over 2 successive days, he'll be engaging with them. Let's find out from my colleague and our correspondent Sudhakar Das for more about this. Sudhakar, what could this interaction be about? Are your sources indicating anything?
में पहली बार प्रधानमंत्री मुख्यमंत्रियों के से संवाद करेंगे, उस लिहाज से काफी महत्वपूर्ण मान सकते हैं। और निश्चित तौर पर यह अंदाजा जरूर लगाया जा सकता है कि किस तरह से अब आगे आने वाले समय में प्रधानमंत्री क्या कुछ सोचते हैं, और साथ ही साथ मुख्यमंत्रियों की इन तमाम मुद्दों पर राय क्या है। हमको पता है कि कोरोना संकट के दौरान प्रधानमंत्री ने 5 बार मुख्यमंत्रियों के साथ संवाद किया था। ये 6ठी बार होगा जब इस संकट के बीच, इस चुनौती के बीच प्रधानमंत्री मुख्यमंत्रियों से बात करेंगे। उस लिहाज से कह सकते हैं जब लगातार उन्होंने एक टीम इंडिया के प्रमुख के तौर पर पूरे देश का न सिर्फ नेतृत्व किया है बल्कि राज्यों का हौसला बढ़ाया है और उनको तैयार किया है किस तरह से इस बड़ी चुनौती से वो प्रभावी तरीके से मुकाबला कर सकते हैं। अब जब हमको पता है कि धीरे धीरे पटरी पर जिंदगी लौट रही है, अर्थव्यवस्था धीरे धीरे खड़ी हो रही है, तो ऐसे में चाहे आत्मनिर्भर भारत अभियान हो या जो एक 20 लाख करोड़ रुपए का जो पैकेज पूरे देश को, देश के हर नागरिक की मदद के लिए जो दिया गया है, तो उसको किस तरह से सभी वर्गों तक ये चीजें पहुंचे और जो एक सपना है इस आपदा को जो अवसर में बदलने की प्रधानमंत्री बात कर रहे हैं, तो ये तमाम मुद्दे मुझे जरूर लगता है कि बातचीत में आ सकते हैं। लेकिन काफी महत्वपूर्ण रहेगा प्रधानमंत्री खुद क्या विजन रखते हैं, क्योंकि जो पिछली 5 बैठक आप देखें, प्रधानमंत्री का एक स्पष्ट विजन रहा है इस चुनौती से मुकाबले को लेकर, और साथ ही साथ राज्यों की जो राय आई है, राज्यों ने जो सलाह और सुझाव दिए हैं, उन सुझावों पर आगे बढ़ते हुए केंद्र ने अहम और बड़े फैसले लिए हैं। तो उस लिहाज से अनलॉक 1 में ये जो बैठक हो रही है और खासतौर से 2 दिनों में गौतम बैठक है, तो प्रधानमंत्री निश्चित तौर पर विस्तार से हर राज्य और केंद्र शासित प्रदेश के साथ चर्चा करने की कोशिश करेंगे, उनके राज्य की जो तमाम चीजें हैं और एक जो नेशनल पर्सपेक्टिव हो सकता है तमाम चीजों का, क्योंकि हमको पता है कि कई जो बड़े और अहम सुधारों का भी न सिर्फ ऐलान किया है बल्कि उस पर अमल भी किया गया है, जिसमें कई अहम ऑर्डिनेंसेस हैं, चाहे वो खेती किसानी से जुड़े हो या कई और अहम जो कदम उठाए गए। तो उस लिहाज से कह सकते हैं MSME का सेक्टर हो या तमाम अन्य जो सेक्टर है, तो उसके लिए क्या कुछ किया जा सकता है, ये तमाम मुद्दे ऐसे हैं जो बातचीत के दौरान आ सकते हैं, राज्यों की तरफ से उठाए जा सकते हैं, और प्रधानमंत्री क्या कुछ विजन रखते हैं इन तमाम मुद्दों पर काफी महत्वपूर्ण रहेगा ये 2 दिनों का बैठक।
Definitely, Sudhakar. I'm sure that our viewers will be completely tuned in as far as getting updates on DD News are concerned related to these 2 days, 16th and 17th of June, when Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be interacting with all chief ministers in different states and union territories. Thanks for joining us for the time being. Now, giving relief to small taxpayers with turnover up to 5 crore rupees, the GST Council halved the interest on delayed filing of GST returns for February, March and April to 9%, provided the returns are filed by September 2020. In addition, the deadline for filing returns for May, June and July has been extended till September without any interest or late fee. Take a look.
Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman chaired the 14th meeting of the GST Council via video conferencing. The Council discussed COVID-19 and its effect in detail. After the meeting, Nirmala Sitharaman announced relief to small taxpayers and also announced reduced late fees and interest rates. She said after the meeting that the deadline for filing returns for May, June and July has been extended till September without any interest or late fees.
For all those who have no tax liability but who have not filed their returns between July of 2017 and till January 2020, there won't be a late fee at all. The next one, the maximum late fee has been capped to 500 per return if there is tax liability. This reduced rate of late fee would apply for all the GSTR 3Bs. Those GSTR 3B returns which are getting furnished between 1st July 2020 to 30th September 2020.
No late fee will be levied for delaying filing of GST returns by registered entities with nil liability between July 2017 to January 2020. Late fee for non-filing of monthly sales return for others has been reduced to a maximum of 500 rupees for July 2017 to January 2020 period. In a relief to small taxpayers with turnover up to rupees 5 crore, the Council halved the interest on delayed filing of GST returns for February, March and April to 9%, provided the returns are filed by September 2020. The GST Council, the apex decision-making body of the indirect tax regime, discussed the impact of COVID-19 in detail.
In July, which is on the request of all the ministers, there shall be a meeting to discuss exclusively one agenda point, and that is compensation cess. Compensation which has to be given to the states, and if at all it results in some kind of borrowing, how and who is going to pay for it. These are issues which in July all members have requested for a special one agenda council meeting, which we've agreed dates will be fixed subsequently.
A special one agenda meeting will happen in July to discuss compensation requirements of the states. Inverted duty structure hitting GST collections was discussed, and the panel was looking at correction of duty inversion in footwear, fertilizer and textiles. The Finance Minister also said that discussion on taxing pan masala will hopefully be taken up at GST Council's next regular meeting. Newsnight Desk, DD India.
The Supreme Court has directed the centre and states not to take any coercive action till July end against private companies which have failed to pay full wages to their employees during the coronavirus-induced lockdown period. Now, the Supreme Court has said that industries and employees need each other and they should sit together to arrive at a settlement on the issue of payment of wages. The Supreme Court asked the state governments to facilitate such settlement process and file its report with the labour commissioners concerned. It also asked the centre to file an additional affidavit within 4 weeks with regard to the legality of the Ministry of Home Affairs' March 29 circular, which had mandated payment of full wages during the lockdown period. The Home Ministry, in its 29th of March circular, had asked all employers to make payment of wages to their workers without any deduction for the period their establishments were under closure during the lockdown to contain COVID-19. The government had said that the 29th of March directive was a temporary measure to mitigate the financial hardship of employees and workers, especially contractual and casual, during the lockdown period, and the directions have been revoked by the authority with effect from the 18th of May. Further hearing in the matter was posted for the last week of July. And the top court on Friday also asked of ticket for domestic and international flights which were cancelled following the COVID-19 lockdown. The top court asked the centre to take a stand on the issue and work out ways for full refund. The plea was also raised that airlines across the world are facing tough time due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and they too be heard as parties to the plea filed by an NGO. The top court has now fixed the plea for further hearing after 3 weeks. The plea urged the court to declare the alleged action of airlines of not refunding entire value of cancelled air tickets as violative of the civil aviation requirement issued by the authority. The civil aviation requirement of May 2008 sets a limit of 30 working days for airlines to complete the refund process for tickets booked through travel agents and portals. Now, hearing petitions on loan moratorium issue, the top court observed that loan repayment moratorium should not lead to higher interest rate being charged. The Supreme Court told the government that they are seeking a wider measure in the petition filed by an individual against interest being charged by banks during the loan moratorium period. Replying to the court, Solicitor General Tushar Mehta said the centre has sought a meeting with stakeholders, including the Reserve Bank of India. The meeting will be held this weekend. SBI has also filed an intervention plea asking to be heard on the issue. Now, a lot of fake news has been doing the rounds on social media. We're getting you some fact-checking as well. But a WhatsApp viral message claims to offer 7,500 rupees relief fund to each citizen. However, the truth is that the link has been given by clickbait. You need to be aware of such fraudulent websites and WhatsApp forwards. Another claim is being made that Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh has been admitted on a private news channel that Chinese soldiers crossed Indian side of the LAC. This news has been misrepresented. The fact is that the Raksha Mantri was referring to differing perceptions of the LAC and presence of Chinese troops. It's being misinterpreted as if Chinese troops entered the Indian side of the LAC. The Vande Bharat mission, one of the biggest evacuation exercises in the world, continues to bring back stranded Indians from all over the world. In the ongoing third phase of the mission, a special repatriation flight to Delhi took off from Bahrain today with 178 passengers and 2 infants on board. The passengers expressed happiness at the evacuation and thanked the Indian government for the effort. Meanwhile, in another repatriation flight the same day, a special flight to Delhi took off from Doha with 177 passengers and 3 infants. This was the 25th flight from Doha under Vande Bharat mission, bringing the total number of repatriated passengers to 4,213 plus 123 infants. Also, a repatriation flight to Kochi took off from Doha on Friday with 169 passengers and 3 infants on board. This was the 26th flight from Doha under Vande Bharat mission, bringing the total number of repatriated passengers to 4,382 plus 126 infants. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke on the phone with Dr. Thongloun Sisoulith, Prime Minister of Laos People's Democratic Republic, on Friday. The two leaders exchanged views on the health and economic challenges posed by the global COVID-19 pandemic. Prime Minister Modi commended the effective measures undertaken by the government of Laos PDR to contain the spread of the pandemic in Laos. Both leaders agreed on the need for international cooperation and for sharing of best practices and experiences in order to prepare for the post-COVID world. Prime Minister Modi highlighted India's historic and cultural links with Laos and expressed satisfaction that being involved in the restoration of the World Heritage Site at Wat Phu. PM reiterated India's commitment to continue its development partnership with Laos PDR. And the PM also had a phone call with Dr. John Pombe Joseph Magufuli, President of the United Republic of Tanzania. The Prime Minister warmly recalled his July 2016 visit to Dar es Salaam and stressed on the importance that India attaches to its traditionally friendly ties with Tanzania. He reiterated India's commitment to partnering Tanzania in its development journey. Prime Minister Modi thanked President Dr. Magufuli for the assistance provided by the Tanzanian authorities for evacuation of Indian citizens from Tanzania in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic. The leaders reviewed the overall bilateral relationship. They expressed satisfaction at the growing development partnership, educational linkages and trade and investment flows between India and Tanzania, and discussed possibilities of further accelerating these trends. The Prime Minister conveyed his best wishes to President Magufuli and the people of Tanzania for the forthcoming presidential and parliamentary elections in Tanzania later this year. And an update now from the sports world, where the Indian team's August tour of Zimbabwe was on Friday called off by the BCCI owing to the COVID-19 threat. The development has come a day after Sri Lanka cricket announced that India's limited over tour in June-July has been postponed indefinitely. Team India was originally scheduled to travel to Sri Lanka from the 24th of June this year for 3 ODIs and as many T20s, and then to Zimbabwe for a series that was to comprise 3 ODIs starting the 22nd of August. BCCI has reiterated that it will organize a training camp only when it is deemed safe by the government. The BCCI is constantly monitoring the COVID-19 situation in the country and will take a call on resumption of cricketing activities after considering all the government guidelines. And that's all we have for the moment in this edition of Newsnight Tonight. For all the latest, stay tuned to DD News and DD India and stay safe.